our Ryker pre-delivery checklist. This is obviously for the Can Am Ryker, and this is part of what has to be done with the delivery. So we'll start off all this section over here. This is all the stuff that we do getting the bike ready to be delivered to the customer. Now this first part, so give the operator's guide to the customer in the customer's preferred language according to availability. That is here. So you will receive that with your bike. Explain to the customer the importance of reading the operator's guide on all product safety labels and watch the safety video prior to operating the vehicle. So, yep, there's some really good information in here. You should read through this. There's some important stuff on the bike itself. And then that is a safety video they're talking about. That's a QR code. I'll make sure to also include a link in the description so you can get to that safety video. Finally, in this section, explain to the customer where to store the operator's guide and the importance of keeping it in the vehicle at all times for reference. So there's really only one storage spot in the Ryker. It's that front compartment. So that's where you should keep it. And you should keep it with you because in case something goes wrong while you're riding, you want to have that reference. This part here, your emergency roadside assistance, that's another good thing to keep with you out on the road, because if you have something happen while you're out riding and your bike becomes incapacitated, you can call them, they can tow the bike to us, and it's all part of your warranty at that point, so it will not be an expense to you. If you go through just a regular tow company, that will be an expense to you, and BRP may or may not cover it as part of warranty because they do offer this system. So I recommend this one first, and if for some reason that doesn't work, then you can get your own, but I can't promise that it will be covered under warranty. All right, next section. So we're going to go through all of the on-product safety labels. I'll go around that with the bike itself because that's way easier. So we'll come back to that. Limited warranty policy. We complete all of that information and send that over to BRP. The reason it's limited and not full warranty is it doesn't cover wear items and it doesn't cover user error. So let's say you're riding down the highway, you're behind a truck, kicks up a rock, breaks your headlight. Not a warranty issue. Let's say you're riding down the highway by yourself and all of a sudden you notice that one of your headlights goes out. Probably a warranty issue. So if something goes wrong, you got to kind of figure out whether it was a issue caused by a manufacturer defect, which would make it a warranty issue. If it's an issue caused by just wear and tear, not a warranty issue. Or if it was an accident, which is not a warranty issue. I emphasize the importance of the owner to train any individual, regardless of his driving experience, on a closed course as shown in the operator's guide. That is here. So this is page 54, and it talks about how to prepare riding and what type of exercises you should do to get used to the bike. The Ryker is different than pretty much any other vehicle out there, so I highly suggest that you spend a little bit of time getting used to it. I reviewed the owner section of it, so that is all the way here at the end of your manual. And it starts off with maintenance records, so if you're going to do your own maintenance, that's where you do that. And then there's also this section at the end for notes, and it's got registration in there, so if you end up selling the bike or moving addresses or something like that, you can fill that information out and say change of address and whatnot. Emphasize the importance of adhering to the break-in procedure. So the break-in period, you can find that on page 36 here. And so this is for the first 200 miles of the bike. And it's saying avoid full throttle acceleration, avoid maintaining constant RPM, avoid sustained accelerations, avoid prolonged cruising speeds, and if the cooling fan operates continuously during stop-and-go traffic, pull over and shut the engine down to let it cool off, or speed up to let air cool off the engine. However, brief acceleration and speed variations contribute to a good break-in. So basically what they're saying is don't go full throttle, don't just hold it there. So if cruising all day long at 35 miles an hour is just as bad as going full throttle. You want to vary up that throttle. You want to vary up your RPMs, your speed, all of that. Also, during the braking period, avoid hard braking. You're getting the brakes worn in as well. Drive belt has its own braking period of 30 miles. So during the very first 30 miles, you really want to avoid strong acceleration and deceleration, and also avoid high-speed cruising. A lot of people will ask fuel requirements. You can see over here recommended minimum octane of 87, but you're going to get better performance if you're on 91. Offered to deliver the vehicle at the customer's expense to an appropriate location for familiarization and practice before driving on public roads. That is what's happening. We're delivering the bikes to you, so all good there. Now the difference between sport and rally modes. So first of all, there's on the rally that you guys are getting, you've got the regular mode, eco mode, sport mode, and rally mode. So I highly suggest you start off in eco mode, get used to the bike there. That tunes it down just a little bit so you don't have as much acceleration, keeps your traction control on, keeps your VSS system active, all of that good stuff so you can get used to this bike. When you turn eco mode off, it takes away some of the throttle limitations that are there, but it keeps traction control and VSS totally active. So again, good stepping stone, gives you more throttle response, but it still has control of if you start to slip and slide around. Sport mode is where you start to mess with that aspect of the bike. You're starting to take away from the traction control side of things. Your VSS is still okay, and your throttle response, you still have full throttle response. Finally, rally mode. This is meant for when you're on those dirt roads. Traction is an issue, so you don't want traction control to get in the way as you might be drifting around a corner on a dirt road. So that's where rally mode really comes in, is it almost eliminates your traction control and your VSS system. So obviously it's important that the controls are accessible and easily usable by the person driving the vehicle at all times, because if you're riding and you need to adjust something like turn your headlights on or use the blinker, you don't want to be struggling to find where that is and take your attention away from riding. So make sure when you're getting set on the bike that you understand where everything is and everything is comfortable. Explain how to use added accessories. The only added accessory you guys have is the rear seat, and I'll show you as we walk around the bike how the rear pegs work. Otherwise it's a seat. I think you know how to use it. Emphasize the importance of adjusting foot pegs, brake pedal height, handlebar according to driver, and verify operation of the brake pedal. So as I go through the bike, I will show you how to move those foot pegs around, as well as doing the brake pedal height, because again, you want to make sure that you're comfortable while you're riding. You don't want to be searching for a brake pedal if you have to stop suddenly. And then that last point, it's Australian, Japanese, and Russian markets, so we don't care. Alright, on to the back side. So as we go into this is where we get into really all the legal stuff for BRP to make sure they cover their butts. So here we go. Can Am Ryker is a different type of vehicle. It requires special skills and knowledge. Learn how this vehicle is different. Read the operator's guide, all product safety labels, and watch the safety video. Complete a training course if available. Practice, become proficient with the controls, and get the proper license. License agreement. Assure the driver has the proper license required to drive this vehicle. Passenger must be capable of firmly planting feet on pegs and securely grasping handholds. Never carry more than one passenger under any circumstances. Doing so may reduce stability and control. Always wear the appropriate clothing and apparel, including an approved helmet, eye protection, boots, gloves, long sleeve shirts, and pants. Also make sure your passenger does the same. Vehicle stability system, or VSS, cannot stop you from losing control, flipping over, or falling off if you exceed this vehicle's limits. The VSS system is a great system, but yeah, it's not some magic thing that overrides physics. If you get crazy out there, VSS can't save you. Know the limits for different road conditions. Obviously, if it's wet out there, your bike's going to behave differently. Do not ride on ice, snow, or off-road. Avoid puddles and running water. This type of vehicle can hydroplane on water and slip on gravel, dirt, and sand-covered roads. If you must go through these road conditions, slow down. Brake with the foot pedal. Never apply the parking brake while vehicle is moving. You could damage the vehicle, lose control, and get hurt. Yeah, that's going to be a bad time. Definitely don't try to turn the parking brake on while you're going. Steer in the direction of the turn. Do not countersteer. Keep all wheels in your lane, always ride in a single file, and do not split lanes. Never use alcohol or drugs before or while riding this vehicle. They reduce reaction time and impair judgment. Never allow a guest to operate this vehicle unless he has read the operator's guide, all warning labels, watched the safety video, and has been familiarized with the utilization of the vehicle. I'm going to add to that you should probably make them watch this awesome video as well, so they can go through all the enjoyment you are currently experiencing. Know that the engine stop switch is available for use in the event that throttle failure or another emergency when the engine shutoff is desired. Here is that safety video again, so there's a link as well as a QR code there. Again, I will include that link in the description. Alright, this final section is about customer privacy. BRP will send an occasional email to just kind of basically say, I hope you're enjoying your bike, but they'll also send something that's like leading into the season, and it might be a coupon for some percentage off of riding gear or accessories or something like that. So if you don't want that, let us know. We'll check this box and they won't do that. Finally, the dealer named on this document has instructed me on the operation, maintenance, safety features, and warranty policy, all of which I understand. I am also satisfied with the pre-delivery setup and inspection of my vehicle. I acknowledge that I have read the above safety warnings and reviewed the on-product safety labels. I understand the importance of reading the operator's guide completely and thoroughly and watching the safety video before operating the vehicle. I was offered by the dealer to have the vehicle delivered at my expense to an appropriate location for familiarization and self-practice before I drive it on public roads. We are doing that, so it is checked yes. So this is one of the things you'll sign. We keep this and file it with BRP, and we can make a copy to send to you with the signature and everything. And thus concludes the excitement of the Can Am Ryker pre-delivery paperwork. Alright, so now for the fun part, let's walk around the bike itself. So we're going to start off with the safety labels on the bike, which really the safety labels aren't really on the bike, they are these tags here. These will not survive being trailered out to you, so this will get put in the front compartment, which is right up here. Just push down here, open that up, it'll be right in here. Eric, I got you tagged here. Bruce, I'll have yours on the other one. But what this does have is this safety card. So on this panel, there's a little quarter turn here. I'll open that up. And then you've got your safety card here that goes through and basically tells you, hey, be safe out there. You could hurt yourself if you're not paying attention and don't know what you're doing. Then at the very bottom of the safety card, it says turn throttle handle backward to enable starter. But that's going to be important later. Other information inside here talks about oil. Your dipstick is there. This is your CVT air intake filter, and that is a handy little funnel for getting fuel. And then over here you've got your tire pressures. So there is good information inside this little panel. Once you're done, just put it back up, do your quarter turn, make sure it's all the way. You don't want that coming back out. The first few years they had issues where customers didn't lock this all the way, and then this would fall down while they're riding. That's why they added this now. That didn't used to be there. But it's really not needed if you have this all the way up, do that turn, make sure it's actually locked, then you're good to go. So if we move back, you've got the back seat on here, and you've got the footrests for your passengers, so those just flip down like so. That does let the bike know that you now have a second person on the bike, and it will impact the performance of the bike. While we're on this side, I will also point out this red knob here. This is compression adjustment for your rear shock, and depending on what type of roads you're riding, you want that set differently, whether it's smooth roads, rough roads, you have a passenger or not, and that impacts how firm the shock itself is. Before moving to the other side, I almost forgot to point out the brake pedal here. So your brake pedal, it's right there. If you need to adjust the angle of that to make it more comfortable for you, the way you do that is flipping this up, like so, and then you can pull this out and rotate it so that it is in a comfortable position for you to use while riding. All right, and on this side of the bike, we've got the adjustment for our rear spring. So right now it is set up for an occasional passenger. So if you're gonna end up riding with a passenger a lot, what you're gonna wanna do is tighten this spring up. And you do that by first loosening this one, it's just a jam nut, and then tightening this one up so that it compresses that spring more and therefore it can support more weight. And then you tighten that jam nut back up so everything stays set. Moving forward, key goes here, so that's the desk post there. Being a 21, this is a working desk post, which means that this and the one other spare key that you have are the only two keys that will start this bike. If you want another one made, you will need to bring the bike in here so that we can program it in order to learn a new key. This is your parking brake, so parking brake on, parking brake off. This here is the cowl for your engine air intake. You really don't need to pull that off for any reason unless you are changing your air filter out. But below that, you have your gear selector. So that's forward, that's reverse. This bike does not have a neutral in it, but you can find one kind of in between there, and that will let you move it around your garage more easily. However, the bike does not like being there, so if the bike's on and you have it in neutral, it will start to yell at you. Also on this side, I'm going to show you how to move your foot peg around. On the other side, I showed you how to move the brake pedal. You start off the same way, lift that up, and that allows you to slide this. And if you look closely here, there are little numbers there. Those are just guidelines. You don't need to be on a number, so if you want to be at 4.5, be at 4.5. It doesn't matter. And then once you're comfortable, just push that peg back down to lock it in place, and you are good to go. That's about it on this side. One of the most common issues that customers have with this bike is taking this hood off. Now, you don't have a lot of reasons you'll need to take this hood off, but the battery and your fuse block is under here, so there might be a time you need to do that. There is this sticker here that BRP started including in 2020 after a bunch of 2019 Rykers had this issue with customers breaking the hoods, but I'll also show you that. So there's a little clip under there, so you lift up on that on both sides, and then hood comes right off. Real easy to do. If it's fighting you, you're doing something wrong. So there's your battery, there's your fuse block, there's your coolant reservoir. Now, I'm not going to try to put this hood on one-handed again because it's not going to line up correctly. So let me stop this, I'll put the hood on, and then I'll show you the check. All right, so the hood is in place, and there's a tab up here, a tab over on this corner, and then your 2 latches down here. So once it's all lined up, just push it into place. You should hear a nice click like that. Then go around, check each corner, make sure that it is attached and secured, because you don't want this hood flying off while you're riding. Now, I know that was not the best video in the world, but there are multiple videos on YouTube already of people taking these hoods on and off, so I don't feel like I need to go into more detail. All right, and up top here, going through the controls, so you've got your mirrors, of course, and those are adjustable. They are tight, so don't be afraid though to move them. They are movable, they're just tight because you don't want them moving while you're riding. Moving over, you've got your headlights here. Now your headlights are always on if the bike is running. So this is low beam, this is high beam. So headlights are always on. You cannot turn the headlights off if the bike is running. Turn signals here. These will self-cancel, but just like your car, if you don't turn hard enough, so if you're merging or something like that, it won't cancel. So then you have to push in here and that'll cancel out your turn signals. Horn button is there. This is for adjusting your steering. So you lift that up and you move that wherever you need it to be, so that you're comfortable riding position. And then over here you've got your kill switch, so that's don't run, that is run, and then that is your start button. Now let's go through starting this. So we're gonna put our key in over here. I've got the parking brake on for now. Got my foot on the brake pedal. We're gonna put this into run. We're gonna hit the start button to wake it up. Comes up, says before operating, read the safety card. That is over here. So remember, open that. And then on the safety card itself, it says turn the handle backwards. So we're gonna do that. And now that message went away. So now we'll close this back up. Make sure that's fully engaged. You'll see that the P is up here. That's because our parking brake is on. Again, foot on the brake. Here. There we go. Now, take the parking brake off. You'll see that it now says forward. With our lever over here. Now it says reverse. Push that back. We're back into forward. Now you've got 2 buttons on your gauge up here. This top button goes through your trip and time. Bottom button goes through fuel stat, range, settings, so setting the clock and RPM. If you hold it, sport mode, rally mode, eco mode, regular. So once again, I recommend that you start in eco mode to get used to the bike itself. Remember, this is short push gets you through these. Long push is what gets you through the modes. Now on your gauge, you've got miles per hour in the middle, got RPM at the bottom right now. Over on the right is your temperature gauge, and over on the left is your fuel gauge. So I'm gonna shut this off for now, because that's all we need to see there. So to shut it off, just gonna flip that. Now it's yelling at us because the parking brake. So we're gonna turn the parking brake on, and now it stopped yelling. Yay! And then we also have to cover the fuel tank, so that is behind this trap door here, so you pull that back. There is your gas cap, so you just unscrew that, and then like I said, there is that handy funnel that is inside this cover here, so that you can get that gas nozzle away from your bike and it reduces the chance of you splashing gas onto your bike, which nobody wants. So we got the bikes loaded up, and there's one other video I wanted to show that I forgot to do, and that is just starting to move. So let's get this started up. Open that up. Normally you'd go knuckles back, but you want to go knuckles forward because that is reading the safety card. Foot on the brake, hit the start. We got the parking brake off. You can see we're in forward. Foot off the brake, and you just want to ease into it. And you can see it starts kicking in right around 1700, so it does not take much. So I'm going to put the parking brake back on. And like I said, so when you start, just ease into it like this. Do not crank it like that. It is not going to end well.